2 additional scenes during its end credits. The second is a short, funny one, focusing on the Grand Master being confronted by the angry citizens of Sakaar following the successful revolution. But the first one is the one that has the greatest significance for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and concerns Thor's ship contained in the last Asgardians. The scene opens with Loki asking Thor if it's really a good idea to go back to Earth. Thor retorts, "Yes, of course, the people of Earth love me. I'm very popular." But Loki is clearly anxious to return after the events of the first Avengers film when he tried to, herald an alien invasion. Thor tells him not to worry and that he has a feeling everything's gonna work out fine. And he says that, ironically enough, as Thanos' ship looms into shot and ominous music begins to swell. The scene ends on a cliffhanger, but there's plenty more that we can unpick and infer with a little help from the Avengers Infinity War footage that was shown at this year's D23 convention. The last time we saw Thanos was the mid-credit scene in Avengers Age of Ultron. With Loki and Ronan both failing to bring him the Infinity Stones, Thanos takes matters into his own hands.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
During Ragnarok's finale, Loki is sent to Odin's vault to retrieve Surtur's crown, to stop Hela by bringing about Ragnarok. On his way there, he pauses and looks at the Cosmic Cube, one of the Infinity Stones, which he previously stole in the first Avengers movie. We think it's safe to assume Loki nabbed this before the destruction of Asgard and perhaps intends on using it to barter with Thanos. I mean, at least he's consistently treacherous. In fact, this theory is supported by the Infinity War footage shown at Disney's D23 convention earlier this year. In that montage, there's a brief shot in which Loki holds up the Cosmic Cube, and it looks like he's either about to use it or offering it up to someone. It's possible Loki has already been in contact with Thanos, revealing the location of Thor's ship, because it seems unlikely that this is just a chance meeting in the depths of space. So what happens next? Well, there's further clues in that Infinity War footage, which opens with the Guardians of the Galaxy finding Thor floating through space surrounded by debris. Does Thanos destroy the rest of the Asgardians before they can build a new home on Earth? Seems pretty brutal, but would you expect anything less from a mad titan? It's worth noting that in this D23 footage, Thor still had both of his eyes, and obviously he loses one of those in Thor Ragnarok. But don't read too much into this, it was probably done to preserve the surprise of Ragnarok. The same trick was done in some of the movie's trailers. It's also entirely possible that some of these scenes might not make it into the final cut of Infinity War. So, while the Thor Ragnarok end credit sequence is pretty short, there's a lot being set up for Infinity War. Thanos is getting closer to Earth and possibly with the help of Loki might finally acquire the Space Stone. If you still want to know more about Thor Ragnarok, check out our videos detailing all of the Easter eggs and references we spotted, or how the movie finally resolves one of the MCU's long-standing plot holes. Comedy jolt to the Thor series, but it hasn't forgotten where it came from. Just loads of awesome Easter eggs and secret things we noticed when we watched it. So early on in the movie, Thor remembers some of the bad things that have recently happened to him, including being turned bizarrely enough into a frog. In the 80s, Loki turned Thor temporarily into a frog in the comics, but that's not Thor's only connection to amphibians. The character Simon Walterson was also transformed into a frog, and once lifted a sliver of Mjolnir, becoming Throg, the Frog of Thunder. There's also a nice nod to a couple of other weird Marvel characters on the Grandmaster's building. Look closely and you'll spot Beta Ray Bill and Man-Thing. Valkyrie goes by the handle of Scrapper 142 on Sakaar, which director Taika Waititi confirmed for us is a reference to Hulk issue number 142, which features Valkyrie. When Thor returns to Asgard, he sees a troupe of famous thespians reenacting the tragedy of Loki. The God of Mischief is played by Matt Damon, while Chris Hemsworth's brother Luke takes on the role of Thor, and Sam Neill rounding out the cast as Odin. Hela reveals that the Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's vault that we first saw in Thor is in fact a fake, which finally explains why we saw the completed gauntlet all those years ago. Speaking of Hela, in the film she's revealed to be the daughter of Odin, while in the comics she is in fact the daughter of Loki. And if you look closely at the mural in Odin's throne room, you'll spot his father and Thor's grandfather, Bor. You can also see Lefay the Frost Giant, Loki's true father, who featured in the first Thor movie. Ragnarok takes a lot from the Planet Hulk comics, including Hulk's gladiator look, the planet Sakaar, and the characters Korg and Meek. And in one scene, Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster liquefies his cousin Carlo, which is probably a little nod to Planet Hulk artist Carlo Pagulayan. As Thor prepares for combat, Korg offers him a 3-pronged wooden spear, which he says isn't much good unless you're fighting 3 vampires huddled together. This is a reference to Waititi's horror comedy What We Do in the Shadows, which follows a group of vampires in New Zealand. It's awesome, please go watch it. Go on, do it right now, we'll wait. Nah, we won't, we've got loads more of these to get through, including when Banner and Thor are trying to blend in on Sakaar, you can spot a Jack Kirby-style Hulk on one of the many Hulk banners. Kirby originally created the character with Stan Lee back in 1962. In fact, Kirby's influence is felt throughout Sakaar, from the costume designs to the weapons. The film's visual effects team even tried to recreate the Kirby crackle. The other big influence on the movie is Jason Aaron's recent run in the comics. Thor losing his eye and sporting an eye patch is straight out of his old King Thor arc. Also, Hela wields the all-black Necrosword in Ragnarok, which is the weapon that belongs to Gorr, the God Butcher, in Aaron's run. Along with the sword, she also steals his line, "What are you the god of?" And the ending with the Asgardians heading to Earth might be a setup for the Broxton, Oklahoma setting for the new Asgard. Karl Urban's Scourge is also plucked right from the comics, and so are those two machine guns he's so fond of. The end of the movie recreates the character's demise in the mighty Thor 360 to 362 arc. The movie also has a couple of nice callbacks to the first Avengers. To access the Quinjet, Thor says "Point Break," which is a joke Tony makes about Thor in the first film. Hulk also picks up Thor by his ankles and slams him around in the same way he did to Loki. And the whole "sun's getting real low" thing is the refrain Black Widow uses in Age of Ultron to calm Hulk down. Right, that's everything we spotted in Thor Ragnarok. Did we miss anything major? Let us know in the comments below. And for more on Thor, you can check out our review